Hello and welcome back to a portrait edit. So we've been playing with exposure and removal of some little blemishes and so on. And now I'm going to focus on eyes. And so next step is to first create a layer, and we can duplicate this layer as well. So I'm going to grab blemishes, put it to the add layer icon and create a copy there. And let's name it right away called eyes. Okay. And on this one, I'm just focusing on the eyes themselves. So let's zoom in on the space bar, move it over, and really see eyeballs, okay? So first thing I'm going to try to do is I want to lighten them up and make a little more color in there, a little more brightness in her eyes. So I'm going to try some blend modes. These first grouping right here is typically to darken things. Let's see, it makes it quite a bit darker. And yeah, I know it's happening over the whole face. We're just focusing on how it's affecting the eyes, right? So let's go to lighten, and not a big difference. Let's try screen, getting lighter still. That's pretty good. Color dodge. Now that's kind of neat, actually. Trying to ignore the rest of her face and just look at the eyeballs. What if I do that, but pull it back a little bit on the opacity, right? And again, just focusing on the eyes. Let's leave it there. Okay, let's leave it right there. So the next step is to block out all of those changes on everywhere but the eyes, right? So what to do, in order to do that, we first make a black mask. And to do so, you hold down the Option on a Mac or Alt key on the PC, hold down that, Alt, and then the mask shortcut right here, add a mask, and bam, hit that. Okay, so now we're back to what we had originally. See, there's no change there. And we're going to reveal by adding some white onto this mask that change on the eyeballs. So let's try a new tool. We're going to use the lasso tool right here and draw a line around the eyeball area. I'm going to go a little bit into the eyelid too. So it's in between the actual edge of the eyeball and eyelids. Okay, it's not going to be perfect. I'm using a mouse. And what happened there is it kind of feathered automatically because I had it on 65 pixel feathering. So let me deselect, try that again, put it back to much less feathering. Okay, it starts at 0 as a default. Let's put it up to like 8. Okay, just playing around. Right, and let's try that again. Draw around the edge. And what we're doing is essentially telling Photopea the area that we're going to want to fill white. So there's an eyeball shape, okay, with a little bit of feathering. And we go to Edit and Fill. And right here, what it's asking is, what do you want to fill it with? We want to fill with the foreground. Foreground and background color means this, what's on your palette here. What's on top is foreground, what's on the bottom is background. If I switch it, I can push X. Right? So I do want it to be white, foreground color, and click OK. And look, the color that's below, the color dodge in this edit is now showing through, which might look a little crazy bright for the rest of her face, but let's leave it there for a moment. We can always adjust that later. Actually, let's just adjust it right now. We can take that change and make it a little less opaque, pull it back a little bit, right? And just bring it up a little bit at a time. Okay, so I can fuss with the actual edit right there of the color in the blend mode. All right, now let's zoom in a little more on her face. Okay. And when I, too far. When I deselect, right, it's a pretty good edge right there, but if you zoom in enough, you can see some, editing edges. And what I could do is also use the brush right now with, here, let's go put it on a soft light blend mode and the opacity really low. So we're just going to kind of feather edges. I'll bring it up a little bit and see what it does here. By painting around that line we had, it will see that? You can see it right there pretty good. Right there, we can really soften the edge of our first selection. So you can't even barely tell where it began and where it ended. And that's a key part of detail editing like this. So when we pull back, I'm going to go Command minus, or Control minus. And it's starting to look a bit more natural. All right, it looks unnatural when only one is done. Now move on to the other eye and see how it goes.